Welcome to the Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast. This podcast is dedicated to providing the key ingredients to transform your employees into a dream team, creating consistent results in every aspect of your business, including your people, your process, and your profits. Your team empowerment, leadership, business development, communication, hiring, and firing. As some of the country's leading staffing and management consultants, we help business owners, i.e. entrepreneurs, and the team that support them, what we call intrapreneurs, to powerfully connect and work together to grow the business.
Today we are talking about how to make informed business decisions. As entrepreneurs, leaders, honestly, even as employees, this is something that we really want to share with your employees as well. So often we'll tell our employees, just make a decision, come to me with a proposed solution versus constant problems. And a lot of times they don't really have a quote unquote formula or a script. We often are getting phone calls, emails, requests from people, do you have a script for X, Y, and Z? And when people have a script, when they have a strategy, when they have a plan, that's when they feel empowered and less frantic around making a decision. And so I want to really talk today and give you a framework, give you a script, give you a formula. And by all means, send me an email if you make it to the end and you want to get my tool, the decision-making model. And I would be happy to share with you what we use in our business and a lot of the clients that we serve for fractional CFOs, CMOs, and CEOs for, and supporting them with how to make decisions, how to make business decisions, not from a place of emotionality where you can actually respond versus react. So think right now about a few things that you're wrestling with, that you know you need to make a decision on. Typically, it's around people. Should they stay? Should they go? Should I outsource? What have you? Is it time to hire? When's it time to hire? Who to hire? Things of that nature. Employee reviews, whatever it is, jot down where you're struggling with in regards to your people. It might be in regards to process. These are the top areas that we see in businesses where people really get jammed up. Their people, their process, their production, and their profitability. And lastly, marketing, which feeds into all of those prior four categories that I just laid out. So pick one thing. Don't make it overwhelming. Don't turn it into a massive, mountain to climb. Pick one thing that you know you need to make a decision on. You've either been burying your head in the sand. You've either been living your life by committee, talking to all your peers, your family, your spouse, your coaches, what have you about, and a confused mind says no. So you're getting a tremendous amount of information that's keeping you stuck, that's keeping you in a place where you're not making a decision. So this is a process to streamline and really extrapolate the habit of processing. There's a saying, you probably heard me say this if you've been hanging out with us for past 25 years, that it's time to abandon the project. It's time to get out of the processing. And there is a time where you're over processing because you're really deferring to deflect, to make a decision, to make a business decision, to make an informed decision. So instead of spinning at a place of, I don't know how, I'm not sure, all the different things that we have, you can confidently take action to process, decide, and then trust yourself. So step one is really be able to name it. Name the issue at hand and spend no more than 5 minutes. I'm a big fan of the cell phone timer. I set a timer for everything that I do, especially when it's something that I am turning into a massive unnecessary project or I'm avoiding. So name the issue at hand and set your timer on that. Step two is really make an outline, the pros and the cons. Again, no more than 15 minutes. Set your timer for that. Now, don't overthink it. just really outline. And I like to start with the pros first and really anchor into, because that's where the truth lies. That's where you can't get into this mucky space of convincing yourself. This place of when you so often people make a cons list first and it's so incredibly long, and then they'll come to the pros list and then they'll start second guessing their cons list. And the pro list, sometimes when it's a hard decision that you've been wrestling with for way too long, it's like you know the answer lies in with you. But we're business owners. We'd like to see data. We'd like to see facts without emotion, and we'd like to see things in the written format down on paper. So start with the pros and then move on to the cons and really get clear and be honest with yourself on what the positive things are in regards to. Now, be careful. Don't, especially if you're dealing with people, employees, outsourced people, coach you're working with, whatever it might be. Don't get yourself in a place where they're really nice. They seem to really care. No, no, no. Those are all feelings. This is about data. The pros of working with them, they're profitable. They, create less problems for me. They don't delegate back up to me. Things that are anchored into truth and fact about the business, not about who they are as a human being, because that's where you're going to keep yourself stuck. So if this is, and by and large, every part of it has to do with the human, even if it's a process or your production, if you're outsourcing, or maybe an outside vendor that you're paying to implement your CRM or to do any type of technology implementation, but you feel like you need to fire them because they disappear, meet deadlines, things of that nature. Do not put on that list that they're a really nice person or they're smart. That is not a positive when it's coming to making a decision about return on investment, key performance indicator, and the energy that this is costing you to interact with this strategy or this person. Step 3, process. Ponder the pros and cons list. And again, no more than 1 week you're going to spend on this of having mental downtime. So when you're walking, driving, you're at a coffee shop, sitting at your kids' game or practice or what have you. Step 3 is to really set the timer for 1 week and put an appointment on your calendar right now after you've completed naming it and outlining the positives and negatives or pros and cons, that you're going to walk away from this from 1 week. And you're going to allow yourself the mental downtime, but you're not going to allow yourself the habit of processing and over processing. So when you have your time, once you declare it on paper, taking that mental downtime and journal and write down some of the things that are coming to you. So you can print out this form. Again, shoot me an email if you want me to send this over to you, or a journal. Or honestly, sometimes I'll just keep a piece of paper in my visor in my car. I'll have some sticky notes that I have next to my shower or next to my bed, the common places on my desk, where I'll just write down things, because people will give you clues. There are always clues. Success always leaves clues everywhere throughout your week. And don't negate them, jot them down and write them down, because then you'll come back to this when you go to step 4. So a week later, you will have time in your calendar when you're at your best. Don't try to jam it in between client appointments. If mornings are best for you, and if day is best for you, Mondays are best for you, Fridays are best for you, find your best, cleanest, clearest, purest time where you're not emotionally charged and just jammed, packed, and stressed, where you can come back to this on step 4 and put it through a sifter. 1 week later, go through the sifter and identify the energy, the time, and the money output currently. So often people will just measure time and money costs, profit, whatever it might be, but they do not measure the energy and emotions. So every week I have so many clients that, when we get on our weekly coaching call, they want to take up 90% of the time talking about the energy sucking employees. And when I'm like, fire them, we have had this conversation and they're sucking up all our time, but then we don't have time to talk about business stuff like money, profit, marketing strategy, what we're going to do to leverage and up level, etc. So you know who you are and you know what the things are that are taking up 90% of your conversation time, mental space, energetic space, emotions, what have you. So start there with the output and put it through the sifter of the energy. Because once you identify naming the issue at hand, then the pros and the cons, and then you spend a week kind of processing it and having that mental downtime where you give yourself permission to put it down and not do anything just yet. And you have your collected sticky notes in your car, next to your bed, in your shower, wherever they may be. And you're just jotting down things that you've pondered and noticed throughout the week and you're bringing them back. Chances are these are going to be energetic and emotional things that really did not meet the pros and the cons, what have you. That, she sent me 47 emails about the same different subject. And every time I open my email, it's completely triggered by it. Or walking into the office, and the second that I'm there, they meet me with X, Y, and Z, and it just completely sucked the life out of me and destroyed my day already before 7 a.m. So paying attention that put down the energy and emotions, column one, middle column two, time, and then number 3 is your money and costs. Step 5 is to decide. Make the decision, declare it, share it with others, and then trust yourself and leave it at that. So my decision is fire this company. This is a one-word statement. My decision is invest in a coach for this person because that's the part that's missing is honestly, I got such clarity now that they are the right person in the right role, what have you. But I just don't have the time to and energy and resources and knowledge to be able to empower and up-level them. My decision is to outsource. So maybe your decision that the issue at hand that you were dealing with, this is a very common one for, do I hire an attorney? Do I bring in an associate? I'm so sick of drafting documents, things of that nature that you need to make a decision on. Just decide and say it and make it very clear and clean. My decision is. You knew the decision before you went through this process. You just were getting all these emotions and everybody's input and what have you, or how am I going to afford it? How am I going to pay for it? How am I going to fire them? Now I got to go back into the frying pan and look for another vendor, what have you. Don't worry about the logistics. Don't worry about the how. Don't worry about any of that, but just declare what your decision is and put it on paper. Declare it and share it immediately with someone and let them know you need accountability and support on this and come up with a deadline. My recommendation is by the end of the week, no more than 5 days, where you are actually going to take the inspired action on it. Make sure you have a deadline with your decision and make certain that you have the safety nets and accountabilities where you're meeting back up with your coach on this, that you're meeting back up with your CEO or CFO or whomever it is, that you have the path and plan. And then the last piece of this is to trust and let go. Retain the faith that you will prevail in the end, regardless of the outcome. Do not go back and second guess your decision. Absolutely make the decision. This is no longer getting my time, my mental space, my energy, taking up space and conversations with, my key people in my life, my coaches, or whoever it is. I'm not talking about this anymore. It is done. It is a one and done. And I am trusting and I'm letting go, and it is no longer getting any more of my precious resources. And that's the hard part, because when we make a decision, and this is what happens when you make a decision, whether it's to fire an employee, whether it's to let go of a contractor that you're paying, whether it's to make the decision to outsource, whether it's a decision to hire someone, and you start seeing how much it's going to cost and onboarding and what have you. This is what happens when you finally make that decision, is that then all of a sudden, especially if it's a courageous decision that it requires letting go of someone, all of a sudden you get talked out of your decision. Or the person starts showing up like a rock star and you're like, oh, dang, maybe I didn't see this clearly. Then you start second guessing yourself. Don't do that, because all the time, 100% of the time, we will get a message from someone that says, well, I didn't fire them because when I went in to do it, this, and this happened. And I didn't know that information at the time, or I didn't blah, blah, blah. But then the very next sentence is, now we're spending 10 minutes talking about this situation still. And then the thing's not solved. It's going to rear its head again. Trust your decision. Do not let people talk you out of it, because I don't know why it magically happens like this, but when you finally make the decision to do it, then people start to show up. People start to, talk you out of it. Well, that's not accurate. I was a great fit, or that was the best strategy, but you didn't, blah, blah, blah. When people start putting it back on you, that's 100%, that's a boundary breaker. That is a game changer. That's a non-negotiable, because now they're trying to manipulate you and they're putting it back on you, and they're not taking full responsibility and ownership. So when their rebuttal or their reply begins with, well, you blank, that's when you know you are not in a very clear relationship or conversation. They're not taking responsibility. When people can't take responsibility, that's a hard no. So I'm excited to see what you do with this. Reach out if you want a copy of my simple tool that I could share with you. Share your feedback. I'm more than happy to serve as your accountability team. Send me an email. Tell me the issue at hand, and I'll go through this entire process with you for 1 week and serve as your buddy coach on this one. Don't do it alone, because once you share it with someone and let them know, I'm finally going to make a decision on X, and you know the things you need to make a decision on. They take up so much of your mental space, energetic space. You spend so much time thinking about it and talking about it. That's the hard thing. That's the courageous thing that you need to wrestle to the ground and make a decision and either get rid of or invest in. All right, let us know how you do. We're excited to get your feedback. We're excited to serve as your buddy coach on this.
If you like what you hear on our podcast, please feel free to visit our website at hiringandempoweringsolutions.com. So we love that you are listening to this podcast. Please drop us a line with any feedback, suggested topics you'd like to hear. And absolutely, we'd love to hear about your victories and your win in regards to creating entrepreneurs in an entrepreneur's world.